hours, not days, hours after I did my last video about the price of Bitcoin, the freaking sell walls. All those sell walls I was talking about from $19,800 to $20,000 disappeared. It was like magic. They weren't bought up. They were not broken through. They were simply lifted. They had a free runway. The runway is still open right now. As a matter of fact, if you want to go ahead and put a couple mil right now into Bitcoin, you might be able to take us to $25,000 because you have an open runway right now to take Bitcoin wherever it is you want it to be. Seriously, right now we're in that position. So yeah, yesterday's video, and I can't say yesterday's, my video 2 days ago did not do well at all as far as timing. I seriously did not see any way for us to buy through those sell walls. Little did I anticipate that they were just going to be lifted. They were just going to be disappearing. They were just going to go away. And they did. They absolutely went away. So right now, everyone agrees, right? And I'm not going to say I agree with this, that the price of Bitcoin is supposed to be hitting like 30 grand by the end of the year. I still remain cautious. Okay, now it's not because of anything that's happening in the market. There's nothing in the market stopping you from making Bitcoin to a price that you want right now. There really isn't. There's no pressure stopping you as of the video right now. So if you wanted a 50K Bitcoin and another whale wanted it bad enough as well, they can make it happen right now. Okay, so let's see what happens. But where I'm skeptical, what's really bothered me is, like I said in one of my tweets 2 days ago, within 48 hours, Mnuchin's going to start revealing what the hell is going on with these new regs. And I got to tell you, these new regs, okay, are taking Bitcoin to a whole different scenario. So let's put it this way. If you're focused solely on the price of Bitcoin, okay, if you're solely focused on hitting a $50,000, $100,000, $400,000 Bitcoin, the truth is the position we're in right now is very likely going to make that happen. It will. I don't know when. It could be next year. It could be the year afterwards. There's no telling when that will happen. But I can tell you this with certainty, okay, based off the information that was released, okay, and leaked from the U.S. Treasury Department, Bitcoin is now going to be a financial surveillance system. That's true freaking story. The new regs turns the Bitcoin ecosystem into a financial surveillance system. And to come to that, I had to piece it together from the multiple articles that came out yesterday where there was some information leaked to editors and writers about the U.S. Treasury's plans, okay? Does this mean this is like the end of Bitcoin? Absolutely not. I'm not saying this is the end of Bitcoin. What I'm saying is it's completely changing. So with these new regulations, if these new regulations go in effect, that the way that everyone thinks they're going to go in effect, the idea of Bitcoin being currency right now, I mean, it's going to be so damn hard, especially with a little KYC that they're talking about implementing. And the next steps that you have to follow, it just becomes really hard at that point to consider Bitcoin any form of currency at that point. Store value, a hedge, something that you can invest in and gain a lot of money. Yeah, it's the right play to make that happen. And right now, all right, the price growth that you're seeing with Bitcoin is not our OGs. As a matter of fact, I've come to realize a lot of information I'm getting as far as the traders and the things that I learned and the things that I knew about Bitcoin aren't really applying anymore. Why is that? It's because our crypto OGs, our Bitcoin OGs are losing their grip on the market, and our new investors have more power. Bottom line, they have more power. So the big investors new to cryptocurrencies appear to be behind a rally to a record. And it's true. The record we have right now is not done by retail. It is new investors. It's new muscle. It's new money. And these guys, I mean, their grip is a lot tighter now than our crypto OGs are. But these are the kind of people, okay? These new investors are the kind of seasoned investors, seasoned traders, okay? Headhunters, head knockers, killers of the industry, the Wall Street industry of making money, who are accustomed to these regulations. And these kind of regulations play into their business model to be successful, to be compliant, and to most importantly, most importantly, reduce the likelihood of a lawsuit. You see, with these big funds coming in here to start playing in our circuit and playing with Bitcoin, they have to reduce liability. And the best way to reduce liability, whether it be from the government, their clients, or anyone else, is to make sure that the Bitcoin world is playing by their rules. So the more institutions that get in here, the more regulations we're going to have, and it mainly boils down to liabilities. Now, the money coming in here also is freaking huge. As a matter of fact, if you add all the institutions this year and the weekly or monthly buys that they're putting out there, it's 2 to 3 times more than Bitcoin is available. Okay, Bitcoin available for sale. We're not talking about Bitcoin that's already in reserves for exchange, because everyone's like, oh, there's Bitcoin in reserves. Yes, reserves means not for sale. Okay, I'm talking about available Bitcoin to buy on market, whether it be from miners or the OTC desk. These guys are buying 2 to 3 times more than exist. There's no way they're buying all this in physical Bitcoin. They're buying a lot of this as paper Bitcoin. There's no other way. You get what I'm saying? And remember, they're not using Bitcoin for a currency. The ability to transact, go from wallet to wallet means dog shit to these guys. The simple fact is, can I put my money into it? Will my money grow? Will my money decrease? Whatever it may be, that's all I care about is the bottom line. I don't care if a shit about any of the technology, the unconfiscatability, the ownership, the freedom, libertarian aspects of Bitcoin. All they care about is the money-making aspects. Paper Bitcoin is perfect for that. So my question is, and I can't get an answer to this. I've asked everywhere and I've looked everywhere. Can somebody find out how much paper Bitcoin exists out there? Okay, paper Bitcoin. Now, so many people have these ideological ideas about how paper Bitcoin and one day just get tired of it and they're going to go to physical. No, they're not. Remember, there's paper oil, paper gold, paper silver, paper platinum, paper diamonds. There's paper everywhere, and it's part of the financial ecosystem that institutions play with. It has to exist. Everything is debt-driven in those ecosystems. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, I can't figure out how much paper is out there. I've looked everywhere. Now, I do know this. The only answer I got as far as any paper Bitcoin is this. This is the only answer I can find. The CME files to double monthly Bitcoin futures open position limit to 10K BTC. Now, this is in September 2019. This was the introduction, right? The step before the CME finally said, hey, we need to file to double our paper contracts, period. They filed that in 2019, so they doubled the size of their paper contracts for 2020. I was told by some that it was probably anticipation for the halving that happened in 2020. Others said it's just because there's more demand. No clear answers. But again, it makes me question how much paper Bitcoin is actually in existence. I can't find that answer. I can make a guess based off of the volume that's bought, and it appears if you figure, okay, they're buying 2 to 3 times more that exist. What are they creating 2 to 3 times more paper Bitcoin every freaking purchase cycle? I don't know. It's very complicated, and I would like to find a more certain answer versus trying to speculate based off the math and purchases whatsoever and what exists. So if anyone has that answer or knows a good source to find that, I'm curious, because what I want to know next, okay, is everyone's looking at the price of Bitcoin and looks at the $22,000, $23,000 price of Bitcoin, and everyone's saying, hey, there's only a limited number of Bitcoin, 21 million Bitcoin that ever exist. That means not enough Bitcoin for every millionaire. I was one of the first people to ever point that out. I pointed that out back in 2018. There is not enough Bitcoin for every millionaire own one physical. I was naive then. I assumed that every millionaire would want to hold one physical Bitcoin that they can take and throw right here into their ledgers, their wallets, something that they own. I was wrong about that. They don't care for that. Just like they don't care to actually own gold or oil or diamonds. They don't care to say, hey, okay, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to park it in my warehouse. I'm going to pay the additional insurance to store it and keep it safe and yada, yada, yada. They don't care for that. They buy the products. They buy the paper and say, hey, listen, I'm going to buy this. I want to trade it. I want to make some money. That's it, bottom line. Again, it's all about the bottom line. I assumed that they would all want to have a physical Bitcoin in their wallet. That's where I was wrong. I was wrong about that, because they don't have to do that to make money. They can just buy the paper asset, buy their paper Bitcoin, get around the BS, the liabilities, the risk, the complications, the moves. Too many moving parts for their business model. You get what I'm saying? So how does that paper Bitcoin that millionaires and the super wealthy desire, okay, and which rather own, okay, impact our 21 million Bitcoin philosophies. Okay, so let's just say we find out there's 50 million Bitcoin in existence through the paper market. They're just throwing a number out there. Just throwing a number. I'm not saying that's what it is. But we are benchmarking our philosophies off of 21 million. But that 50 million exists because there's money in that 50 million, because the wealthy put their money in that 50 million Bitcoin. Okay, so what does that mean for the rest of the Bitcoin market? At what point do we start to get diluted? You get what I'm saying? How does that impact us long term? I don't have the answer to that. I'd like to see what some of you guys have to say. I also want to point out something Mark Cuban recently said. This guy is like, either you love him or you hate him. That's the truth. Mark Cuban, he said the American millionaire reveals why Bitcoin is more of a religion than a solution to any problem. He's actually a billionaire. He's not a millionaire. He's a billionaire. There's already a red flag for this article as it is. But in here, okay, he emphasizes some facts and even some of his own speculation. I'm going to get fair about this, about why Bitcoin's value is more of an idealism, a religion, than it is actually anything substantial. And he says it right here. My thoughts have not changed. It's a reserve of value like gold that is more religion than a solution to any problem, said the businessman. I want to quote. I'm going to read this whole paragraph real fast to kind of put this in the conversation in context. In the same way, he underlined as counterproductive all the talk about Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency being able to replace fiat currency. He also mentioned no matter how much Bitcoin fans want to pretend it is a hedge against apocalyptic scenarios, it is not. Countries will take measures to protect their currencies and their ability to impose taxes. So the more people believe that this is something more than a store of value, the greater risk of government intervention they face, considers the businessman. Bitcoin has seen its fair share of comparisons to gold over the years. Both are rare assets that are often touted as vehicles of storing value. The U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission even classifies BTC commodity just like gold, the executive mentioned. It's true. Bitcoin is classified as a commodity according to CFTC. The SEC calls it a currency, and the IRS calls it property. Three agencies, three governing bodies cannot seem to agree on what the hell Bitcoin is. But going back to what Cuban is saying, he does have a point. He does have an actual point. See, everyone keeps talking about Bitcoin being that next currency, the replace the fiat currency. Everyone talks about how Bitcoin is that next hedge against apocalypse scenarios. He's got a good point. These regulations that we see rolling out are to protect governments. They're not to protect you. They're really not. They're to protect the government and to protect their currencies, because their economies, all government economies, are based around their currency that they own, that they regulate, that they build, that is backed by whatever ideas, military, actually not gold anymore, but whatever the hell they want to back it by, you know what I'm saying, it is the creme a la creme currency for their country. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, he does have a point, and people don't want to see it that way. People want to believe that this is all going to fail. These countries, the U.S. in particular, will fight tooth and nail. They will run over, freaking steamroll any one of us in a heartbeat if any one of us were to present a good way to make Bitcoin the solution to outtake and outdo USD. I mean, it's not going to happen. Clear examples of this. Now, this information I'm sharing with you, the purpose of this is so that you can actually manage your expectations, because there is so much misinformation going out about what Bitcoin is, what it's going to be. I came into Bitcoin because it was the currency of the people. Yeah, that's why. That's why I adopted it. That's why I buy things with it. It's my currency. It's my way of freedom. As I've been in this space, I've seen it evolve into a store of value, the hedge. Now it's candy to Wall Street, and people are okay with it. Why? Because you're going to make money. And if that's your goal, you have nothing to worry about. What's going to come is going to make a lot of people a lot of money. But going back to what Cuban said, here's something I want you guys to look at. Seychelles, longtime home of BitMEX, is bending the U.S. pressure on KYC. What they're not telling you here is if you were to start a crypto project, you're going to go to one of three places: the Seychelles, Grand Cayman, or someplace in Asia. Okay? All three places right now are yielding to U.S. pressure. They're only pointing out BitMEX right now because BitMEX is a big entity. What they're not telling you is Seychelles is going after everybody. Out of a list of 26 crypto exchanges domiciled in the Republic of Seychelles, approximately half have to prove your KYC procedures according to blockchain tracking firm CipherTrace. Okay, it's not just BitMEX. They're going after everybody. Okay, the Grand Cayman. If you try to build a crypto project, go and try to figure out where to structure your crypto project. Grand Cayman comes in recommended all the time. But guess what? Their laws changed. Their laws changed. The KYC thing, the whole U.S. government pressure was so effective. The Grand Cayman has changed their laws on crypto projects. It's not like it used to be. There is no secret corners. There is no dark corners. There is no protection of going offshore trying to build a project. Even European countries that try to go to Seychelles or the Grand Cayman, it's not working. And the next step that you're seeing happening right now is the self-hosted Bitcoin wallets become frontline and fight over crypto regulations. Now, what is a self-hosted Bitcoin wallet? Do you have a ledger? That's self-hosted. That's yours. Self, meaning you, the individual, have this wallet. It's hosted by you. It's hosted by you setting this up, arranging it, okay, and supplying funds. It's self-hosted. You are a self-hoster. I'm a self-hoster of this wallet. That is what it is defined as. We are next. We are what they're going after. This is the part where they're going to take and turn Bitcoin into a financial surveillance system through the KYC processes that are going to have to exist because the US wants them. And the first place they're starting is with the exchanges, making sure the exchanges, before they accept any crypto from any wallet, the wallets have to be KYC'd. This move, which begins with regulated exchanges being required to do due diligence on non-custodial wallets they connect to, is already underway in places like Switzerland and Singapore, with the U.S. rumored to be next. Switzerland is actually kind of a surprise. Switzerland used to be the home of privacy, and it's just changing so dramatic. And this is happening. This is happening for two reasons. Big money coming into our space, being acclimated into this, and making sure they reduce their liabilities and reduce their risk and reduce manipulation from the rest of us, and the fact that we tout Bitcoin as being that replacement, that threat, that danger to governments being able to take their money from their people, the threat to governments to not be able to tax you. You get what I'm saying? It's, in my opinion, probably the biggest reason why we're seeing these kind of regulations roll out right now. And this is coming from NASDAQ, okay? This is NASDAQ posting this right now. U.S. Treasury bulking up and crypto policy advisors as wallet reg rumors swirl. I mean, this is getting real. The U.S. is really putting some muscle, some effort into making this happen. I don't agree with it. I'm not happy about it. But I feel ultimately I'm going to be fine. Because the way this is rolling right now, I guarantee the accredited investor credential is going to have to come in play. I guarantee, I don't know when, maybe a year or 2 years from now, the whole Bitcoin circuit, and as far as how they control who can buy, spend, move Bitcoin, I guarantee we're going to start to see that whole accredited investor aspect come into play when it comes into investing into something as volatile and risky as Bitcoin. I bet you that will come up. I don't know when, but it's going to come up. I'm not worried if that happens. I qualify as an accredited investor. But majority of the people who get into crypto do not. People get into crypto because they want to change their stars. They want to change their lives. They want to do something better. They're looking for that revolution, that financial revolution. Bitcoin used to offer that. But now that we're playing by these games and these rules, this is slowly coming to a huge change. So I know Mark Cuban's comments may not be very popular, but he's right. We're asking for these regulations to come in, and the U.S. is strongly flexing their muscles. As we can see, Switzerland is doing the same. We know that France is doing the same. All these countries are doing this in an effort to preserve their currencies. And the best way to preserve their currencies is to make sure that they get the players, the institutional players, the Wall Street players who are already acclimated to these laws to come in there and basically take over. I mean, that's actually how I feel about it. That's how it looks like to me. Is like they're bringing the institutions in to clean this up and make sure it does not become a threat to their traditional portfolios and the way they've already been making money. And I have a feeling, because again, remember, Bitcoin is unregulated. I have a feeling they can get as dirty as they want in this space without facing any consequences from the SEC, IRS, or even the CFTC as far as how they treat this market. Because remember, there is no laws on the books right now as far as Bitcoin goes in the trading world. There's none. So there's nothing stopping them from putting out all kinds of fabulous, wonderful news about all these institutions buying, moving all the sell walls, letting retail come in there and buy into it with them, and then one day saying, hey, guess what? We're going to crush you. There's nothing against them. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. On the other hand, they can make sure that the runway stays clear and the price of Bitcoin hits $30,000 and many of you get rich. I actually hope that does happen, but let's see what happens. Anyhow, guys, that's all I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Peace out.